Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video I'm going to do this sweater with you guys. I'm going to show you guys how to do this sweater here. Now this is a request by you guys because I will post the other one here. So I did this blue granny stitch sweater, and I did it in one version, which is the all the blue one, and then in the other one it was just to show that you can also do it without flaring in the calves of the sweater here, and without doing the bordering in the bottom and in the middle here. And a lot of you have requested that I show you guys how to do the second one that is not the blue one. So instead of doing it the same way, obviously I decided to do it in different colors like this. Okay, so this is a request for you guys. I will also put the link of that with the other one in the description box below, so you guys can see, and for those of you who haven't seen it yet, you can also do your sweater that way. Okay, but this one is gonna be just doing it in this like nicely flared out sleeves like this, and in the bottom you don't do anything except to just leave it like this. Yeah, and then also it's gonna be one for those of you who also requested on how to do it in multiple colors and how to change colors. Okay, so this is gonna kind of be like hitting two birds with one rock. Okay, all right, so this is what we're gonna be working on. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the materials and we will go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so for this project I'm gonna be using the following materials. So as you can see, I have my two color yarns here. This is by Azurite, 100% acrylic. This skein here is 50 grams or 140 meters. And so you're gonna need a few of these. I will let you know at the end of the project how many skeins I used per color. That way you're aware. Recommended hook size for this yarn is 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook. Then of course these are all your washing instructions here if you need to know. And this yarn here, this company goes by color number, not color name, so I will just call this red or maroonish or whatever, but the color number is 3025, so 3025. Okay, so everything is the same as it is with this here except for obviously the color. So obviously we will call it black, but this color number here is 585, so 585. Okay, so that's what we're using for the yarn. For a crochet hook size, even though they're recommending 3.5 to 4, I'm going to be using a 5 millimeter crochet hook, which is H8 US. And the reason for that is just because we're doing a stitch that is a little bit clustered, so that we can make it a little bit loose. Because if I use a little bit of a smaller hook, it's gonna make my work really tight and rigid. So I often tend to use a hook that is a little bit bigger if I'm using if I'm doing a project that clusters a lot. Okay, I have two stitch markers here if we need it. I may not need them at all, but if you need them, have them around. The same thing as a darning needle. If you need it, have it around. I have my scissors here to be able to cut my strands when I'm changing color, especially, and at the end for cutting off the hanging strings. And of course I have my tape measure here to be able to determine the sizes. Okay, so that's everything we need for this project. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with the project here. I'm gonna start it with the red, and as a matter of fact, majority of the sweater is gonna be in the red color with just some stripes in the black. Okay, so go ahead and grab whatever color you would like to be your dominant color, and then go ahead and start by doing a slip stitch like this, a slip knot I should say, but my slip knot turns into a magic circle. Okay, so just like this. So the way I do it, I just wrap it around my thumb like this, so that there's an X right there like this. I hold on to that spot, I slide it off my thumb, and then I hold it like this, and I take my hook, I put it through the circle, then I take my working yarn and bring it in. Okay, and then we will start the project from here. So this is my magic circle right here. So I'm gonna start by doing a chain of 2. So 1, 2. This chain of 2 counts as a double crochet. Okay, then I'm gonna go into this magic circle and complete 2 more double crochets. The first double crochet being my chain 2 that we started with, just like that. So now I have a total of 3 double crochets, my chain 2, which counts as a double crochet, and a double crochet. So I have 3 altogether. So that's one cluster. I'm going to do a chain one to separate my clusters. And so I'm gonna go back into the magic circle and complete 3 more double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll do a chain one to separate these 3 from the next. Then I'll do 3 more all along, working into the magic circle. 2, 3. And I'm only doing this like this because I'm showing those who are maybe just clicking on this video and not aware that I've done a hexagon sweater before. So I am doing this, but if you are doing this sweater here but you have seen the one in blue as well and you know what to do, you can just skip this part of the video and go straight to where we're going to do the little bit of a change. Okay, so this is now 3 clusters into the magic circle. I'm gonna do a chain one and then do another cluster of double crochets, so 3 double crochets. And we're going to do 6 of these clusters all together. So I have 4 now, I have 2 more to go. And then when I have all 6, because we're doing a hexagon granny stitch sweater, we're going to need to do all 6 of them. So I have 5, then I'm going to complete 1 more. So after my chain one, I do 3 more double crochets, 2 and 3. Okay, so I want to make sure we can count to make sure we have enough here. So I have these 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we have enough. So we take our hanging string, this hanging string here, and we just pull it, and it closes the little bit of the hole that we had left from our magic circle. And I know people can do the magic circle different ways, so please go ahead and do it the way you prefer to do it. This is how I do it. There are those who like to do it by doing a chain of, let's say, 4 or 5, and then slip stitch on the first chain and then work your stuff into the center of that. But I do it like this. I find it easier. So now that I have locked it in like this, I'm going to do a chain one because I need to be able to slip stitch to the other side. And then this is my chain 2 that we started the row with. On top of the chain 2, I'm going to go in and complete a slip stitch like that. Okay, so now I have all of my gaps here to work into. So that's the first row of this project here. It's very simple. You guys, if you already know how to do this, you will find how simple this is, and it works up really fast. Yeah, so now we're going to do a chain, the second row. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, now that I have done my slip stitch, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. My chain 2 always counts as a double crochet. And then there's this chain 1 gap just before we did the chain 2, there's the chain 1 gap right here. We're going to work into this by doing 2 more double crochets because our chain 2 counts as the first. So that's 1, 2, and then the third one is our chain 2. And then we're going to go right into the next chain 1 gap. So we're skipping 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch, which is our chain 1 gap, we're going to work 3 double crochets into that gap. So this is 2, 3, and because we want to create a corner, we're going to do a chain 1 and then do 3 more double crochets into the same chain 1 gap from the previous row. Okay, 2 and 3. So this is our first corner here, and then we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the next, which is our chain 1 gap from the previous row, we are going to work 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. So all together we have 6 double crochets into that chain 1 gap, with the 6 separated by a chain 1 after 3 first, and then do the second like that. Then we move on to the next chain 1 gap and repeat the same thing. Okay, so this is very simple for this first one because we're increasing in every corner. So every corner gets 6 double crochets. But then in the next row, it's going to be a little bit different because we don't put 6 double crochets in every chain 1 gap or every space. So I will show you what I'm talking about when we get there. Okay, So 3 and then chain 1, then we put in 3 more double crochets. Okay, we have one more corner to create, and then after that one corner we're gonna go into the creating the final corner. And that final corner we have already done 3 double crochets. We're just going to add 3 more to make it 6, and that's gonna be our final and 6th corner. Okay, so in this next one here, again we skip into the chain 1 space and do your corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our 6th one is this one here. So this is where you need to pay a little bit of more attention, especially if you're a beginner, because we have the first 3 double crochets and we're gonna want to make it 6. So what we do is we skip right into that gap here where we started our chain 2 with, and we go in that and we complete 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, and then we chain 1 because we want to create a chain 1 just like we did in every other cluster here. And then after we do our chain 1, we go on top of the chain 2, so 1, 2, and on top of that chain 2 we complete a slip stitch. And so now we have a corner here as well. Okay, so that's our 6 corners here for our hexagon. Okay, and then we'll chain 2 and then repeat what we did in the previous row, which is completing 2 more double crochets into that gap to make it 3. We will skip into this gap here. There's no chain 1 here at all. It's just a gap that was created from us skipping these 3 double crochets to go on the other side. So that's one way, or the other way is to count 1, 2, 3, and then in the 4th stitch you go in there and complete 3 double crochets, just like that. Okay, and then we skip over to the corner. So we skip 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th, which is the chain 1 from the previous row, we will create a corner by doing 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochets into that same gap. Okay, so now that's a corner for this section here. Then we're gonna skip into this gap here, so skipping 3 stitches and into that gap that is just kind of like no stitch at all there, but just a gap. We do 3 double crochets. Okay, and then we skip the next 3 stitches into the chain 1 spot, which is a corner. We create our corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochets into the same chain 1 gap. Okay, 2, 3. Okay, so as you can see here, this is our corner. We're gonna do 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then complete the corner. We've already done 3 double crochets here. We're gonna add 3 more in, chain 1, slip stitch. Okay, so I would like you guys to do the rest of this row here. When you have completed the 3rd row, come back. I will show you how to start the 4th, and then I will have you guys finish the number of rows that we need to be able to complete this. Because we're changing color, I will probably come back and show you guys how to change the color, and then we can complete the rest of it going ahead. Okay, so just complete this row here and then come back when you've completed your 3rd row. Okay, my lovelies, so I just came back to just show you guys one more time how to create the final corner here. So as you can see, I just did my 3 double crochets right here, and so I'm going to skip right into the chain 1 from the previous row here and do 3 more double crochets. Okay, just like that. Oops. And then to create our corner, I'm just going to do a chain 1 and then slip stitch on top of the chain 2 from the previous row, or from this row, the starting of this row. Okay, so that's how my 3rd row looks like. You can start to see that the corners are getting sharper, as well as start to kind of wrinkle up the middle a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to just start the fourth row, and then I will have you guys complete that. So chain 2 and then go into the gap where the chain 2 came from and complete 2 more double crochets to make it 3. Okay, I kind of looked up the yarn weird here, so I'm going to redo that part. This is my third double crochet, and then I'm going to go into the next gap by skipping 3 stitches, and then in the gap I'm going to do 3 more double crochets and then skip the next 3 stitches, and in the next gap complete 3 double crochets. So as you can see here, we have 2 sets of 3 double crochets before a corner. So in the first one we had just increasing on every corner here to create our corners. In the third row we did just, there's one here, and then we go into a corner, there's a corner, and there's just one, and now there's 2, and in the next row there will be 3, and then it just increases like that. Okay, then we hop right into the center, which is the chain 1 from the previous row, and complete our corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the chain 1 spot. Okay, and then we just continue this until we get to the end, and then we will make sure we go into here and complete 3 double crochets before we chain 1 and slip stitch. Okay, so I'll have you guys work this until you want to change the color. And the reason I say that is because I'm not going to change the colors probably the way you want to change your colors. I'm going to do 10 rows in the red, then I'm going to come back and do maybe 4 rows in the black, and then go back to red, and that's how I'm going to alternate it. But I want this first part here to have a bigger gap, to have a bigger same color, patch of the same color before I change the colors. So I'm going to do 10 rows in this red. Then when I have 10 rows, I'll come back to show you guys how to change the color to the black. Okay, see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed 10 rows here. So as you can see, this is pretty much how my work looks. It looks a little bit like I don't know, what do you want to call this? It looks like octopus a little bit or like a seashell, starfish, or whatever you want to call it. But this is how it looks like after 10 rows. So I'm going to pretty much change the color here to the black one, and I'm going to explain to you quickly as well how you will end up stopping in terms of creating this one panel, how far to go to stop. So as you can see, I did my chain 1 here and a slip stitch, but I'm actually going to undo that slip stitching because changing the color, it's gonna make it so that we can do that properly. So 1, 2, we skip again, and then on top of that chain 1, I will just stop here like this. Okay, and then I'll take my scissors and I'm gonna cut just here. I don't want to waste too much yarn, so I'm just cutting a little bit off. Put that away. Okay, I'm grabbing my black yarn here where we're gonna change the color, and I'm going to go in and start working in my black. Okay, so the way I change color with this, as you can see, I did my chain 1, and then instead of oops, I did not do my chain 1. Let's do that. Chain 1 like that, and then I go into the top of my chain 2 just like we did earlier. So I cut the yarn a little too small because I completely forgot I needed to do a chain 1, but that's okay, we'll make it work. And then I bring in my yarn, my working yarn or whatever I'm changing it to. I just yarn over like this and I bring it through, and then I chain 2. Okay, so as you can see, these 2 yarns are here, and if you want to be safe, just do a knot here, especially because they're short like the way I did mine here. I'll do a knot here just so I don't lose it by accident, or it doesn't unravel by accident. So I'm gonna just do a 1 knot like that for now. Now that I have my chain 2, I'm going to just do what I did in the previous rows, which is to go into this chain 1 gap and complete 2 more double crochets. My chain 2 in the black counts as a double crochet, just like that. Okay, so leave these here to weave in later. And now that I have completed those, I'm gonna go into the next gap. So skip 1, 2, 3. in the next gap, I'm gonna go in and complete 3 double crochets, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna skip into the next. So skip 3 stitches, and in the next gap complete 3 double crochets, comme ça, like that, and then skip the next 3, go into the next gap and complete 3 double crochets. So you guys kind of understand what we're doing here, because you've been working for the last 10 rows. You understand kind of like the flow of work here, okay? And then we're going to do this all the way to here, and then you'll create your corners per usual by doing 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, and then continue, and you're going to repeat these all the way until you come back here. When you get back here, you'll do your 3 cluster of 3 double crochets here, skip right into this chain 1 gap, do your 3 double crochets, chain 1, slip stitch, then chain 2 to start the next row, and then you just do that. And what I will do is I will do 4 rows in the black, then I'll come back and do 4 more rows in the red. So I'm not going to show you how to change the color again. I just wanted to come back and show you how to change the color here. But what I will do at this point is I will explain. If you're seeing this video for the first time, you have not seen the blue one, just how to stop, or when you think it's the right size to stop. So I don't work by saying do this many rows to get this size, or this many, rows to get that size, because it's often very inaccurate depending on how you crochet, your tension control, the type of yarn you use. So I don't work like that. I work with just asking you guys to work with measurements, okay? So this is how our sweater is gonna be like. This is gonna be one panel. If you're making it for a doll, this would pretty much be one panel completed like this, but we're making it for an adult, so we're gonna go a little bit further. Okay, so the way we need to determine when to stop, because this is more important. This is the body of the sweater here, this is the sleeve here, and for the sleeve it's important that it fits. And the way you determine that is you measure the circumference of the widest part of your arm. Okay, so you just go like this. So for example, for me, it's about 10. I have very small arms. I have about 10. Sometimes you could go up to 12, depending on how I make the project. So let's go to 12. So this is the widest part of my arm here, the all the way up here. Okay, so what I will do here is, knowing that 12 inches, if I divide that by 2, it's 6 inches. So I need to make sure this part here is 6 inches. So as you can see here, I am at 4, almost 5, and I need to go up to 6. So the more I work my work, the more this part is gonna increase like this. And then when I have realized that I have enough, and of course this is if it's tight, like this is literally if I'm doing it tight like this. And of course, I'm not going to wear a sweater that is this tight. So I'm probably going to go more to like 14, 15. So then I'm going to take half of that, and I will make sure the half of the circumference is the length of this by the time that I finish what I want. So that's how you will determine the size of when to stop, okay? So for me, based on have done this one before, it comes up to 18 rows total. So I have 10. I'm gonna do 4 in the black, that will be 14, and then I will do 4 more in the red again, and that will be 18. So 18 rows is what I need for this sweater to fit me. It's gonna be a different size for you or for somebody you're making these for, okay? So with that said, I'm gonna ask you guys to work. I will do the same. Work your project until you have the number of rows that you need, or the length in terms of the arms. But what you will do for your final row, so let's say for me, I will do 18 rows, but for the 18th row, I'm not going to complete all 6 sides. I'm going to complete 4. So I will do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and come back with this side only having 17 and this side only having 17. And there's a reason for that, because we're going to work this final row here while we're joining our sleeve together. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the number of rows that I need for my panel here. So as you can see, This is pretty much how it looks like. So I did my black stripe here, and then I finish it off with 4 more rows in the red, and that's where we're gonna stop because I have the sizes enough. And also, as I told you guys to do the 6 sides of this hexagon, I told you to do 4 for the final row, and then leave the other 2 undone because we're gonna be working that when we are joining our panel. Okay, so this is pretty much how it looks like. So I have 18 rows on 4 sides, and then I have 17 rows on 2 sides, but we will fix that because we will make sure we put that those go to 18 rows for these 2 sides as well. Okay, all right, so this is how it looks like. And so I'm going to show you how to fold this because it's a little bit tricky. So as you can see, this is where I stopped here. I just did 3 double crochets here, and I'm supposed to be doing a chain 1 and doing 3 more, but we're not doing that. And then the place I started is right here. So I have this side here and this side here unfinished. So I'm going to flip this work like this, so that the side that has the hanging string is facing up. Then I'm going to take this corner where I stopped, and I'm going to go directly to the opposite corner on the other side and put those 2 together. And then I'm going to fold it like this, just like that. Okay, so this now just creates one side of the sweater like this. On the side that is facing me, which is the upside, I have 3 rows in the red. On the opposite side, the one that is facing downwards, I have 4. And there's a reason for that, is because this is the side we did only 17 rows, and this is also the side we only did 17 rows. So we're gonna finish the 18th row here, and then together we will finish the 18th row in this here, which will now become a sleeve. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and show you how to do that right away. So after your work is nicely folded like this is the body of the sweater here, and this is the sleeve. Now you have it like this. It's facing up because you need to be working on this side here, so you want to make sure that it's facing upwards. Okay, so as I'm getting my yarn ready here to show you guys how to join, I have it like this. I have my working yarn here. I have my hook. I'm just gonna go into that like this. So we did these 3 double crochets already. We're not gonna do any more here yet, but what we will do is we have this side, which is this corner, with 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. We're going to go into that chain 1 spot, but we're going to actually come from behind like this. Okay, so what I do is I just bring it from behind like this, then I put my yarn around the hook, bring it back out. Let's redo that. Okay, so just go in like this, and I bring it like this. Okay, and then when I have 2 loops like that, I will continue to finish it off to do my slip knot. So I just slip knot it like that. Okay, and now after that, we're going to finish the other 3 double crochets into this corner. So we're just going to go in and work 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I just want to make sure we are going to see it properly here. I hope you guys can see it properly. And then we're going to go into this next gap here that separates the 6 double crochets from the next 3. And then from there, I'm going to go in, just go from the behind like this, and bring my yarn around, and then do a slip stitch. Okay, and then go into the next gap here. So skipping these 3 double crochets into the next gap, I'm going to complete 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and then repeat. Go into the next gap here after the last 3 double crochets, go in, bring your yarn through, slip stitch, and then go into this next gap here and complete 3 double crochets. Okay, so this is pretty much what we do all the way to the end. And as you can see, we are actually creating our 18th row on this side. So now I have 4 rows. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other side I don't add any rows because I'm just using it to join the sides, and this is our joining right here. And as you're doing this, make sure you're not pulling it too tight because you don't want it to crunch up like this. You want it to stay nice and flat and flexible like that. Okay, So go do this all the way to the end here. When you've reached the second last gap right here, come back so I can show you how to work into the corner here as well. And then we will finish the joining and be able to start our sleeve on this side here. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have joined my top here. So as you can see, just need to make a correction here. So I'm just heading towards the end of my sleeve here. So I'm finishing this one and then the next one, and then we are at the end, as you can see. And I just go into this next step here, bring it in, and then go into this second last space to do my 3 double crochets. And as you can see, so now it's like this, and I'm going to go into the last one on the other side, bring it in, slip stitch, and then complete 3 double crochets in this corner here. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, this gap is kind of open here. So what I do is, we have the chain 2 that we started that row with. I'm just going to go on top of that, on top of the chain 2, and do the same thing, which is just complete a slip stitch here. Okay, there you go. So just do my slip stitch like that. Okay, so now the top here is completely joined. You can use this moment to just kind of put it apart a little bit to make sure it's not too bunched up. Okay, like this. So this is where our joining is right here. And so I'm going to just pivot my sleeve like this. And as you can see, this is the side that we had only 17 rows instead of 18. So which means in this red color, I only have 3 rows as opposed to 4. So we're going to use this red color still to do our 4th row on the sleeve. And then we will change it to the black to do 4 rows in that. And then we alternate to build up the length of our sleeve, okay? So I'm just finishing putting my yarn on my finger here. And so after you have obviously joined, this is your sleeve right here. So we're gonna pivot our work like this. And then here you just do a chain of 2, which counts as a double crochet. And in this gap here, you're going to do 2 more double crochets. So 1 and 2. Then you're gonna skip to this gap here and do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And then skip over to this gap here and do 3 double crochets. So in the long run here, you're just skipping 3 stitches, and in the gap that is right on the left side of those 3 stitches, you do 3 double crochets. Okay, and you do these all around until you come back to here where we started it off. Come finish your 3 double crochets here, come back, and I will show you how to join this side here, and then how to change color back to the black to do the stripes in the black. Okay, I will see you guys when you've gone back around here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed this 4th row here for the sleeve. So now we have 4 rows in the red as well as we do in the black. And so I'm going to show you how to join this, and this is going to be the same way that you do every row until you finish the sleeve. And so you just, after doing your 3 double crochets right here, you're going to skip right to the chain 2, and on top of that chain 2 that we started the row with, you're going to slip stitch. Okay, but because we're changing color, I'm going to leave it like this, because we're going to cut this here to be able to change to our black. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab my black yarn, and I'm going to join it here, and then we will do pretty much 4 rows of each color. So we're alternating the black and the red, and we're going to do that until we have the length that we want, and I'll tell you exactly how you determine the length. Okay, so I have this here. Instead of completing my slip stitch, I'm just going to bring my yarn through like this and then chain 2. Okay, I will pull the 2 colors here a little bit like this to kind of bunch to bring them in, and I will weave those later. And then I just go into that same gap here and complete 2 more double crochets. So 1 and 2. And then I move over to this gap here. So skip these 3 double crochets, and then to the next gap here, I go ahead and complete 3 double crochets. And as you can see here, the chain 2 we did to start this row counts as a double crochet. Okay, and then we pretty much at this point, I'm not going to show you how to complete this row, because all you do is just go all the way around. When you come back here, you will complete 3 double crochets here, and then slip stitch on top of this chain 2, and then chain 2 and go into the same gap and do 2 more double crochets to make it 3 with the chain 2. Then skip the double crochets, go into the next gap, do 3 double crochets, skip the 3 double crochets, go to the gap, do 3 double crochets, and then you just continue that until you finish 4 rows in the black, and then you will change the color again, and you do it the same way we just did here. And then you will go back to the red, and you will do 4 more rows in the red, and then you will switch back to the black, do 4 more rows in the black, and you do this until you have the length that you're looking for your sleeve. Okay, and the way you determine the length is I put my work down like this. This is the sleeve right here, and what I do is I take my tape measure and I measure from here all the way to, first of all, I measure my arm, the length of my arm from underneath my armpit all the way to where I want my sleeve to end. And then you take that and you measure from here to that, you work your you measure from here to where it's gonna go. So let's say from under my armpit to here is 20 inches. Then I'm going to make sure I complete rows that will take me from here to 20 inches later. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on my sleeve here. When I have the length that I need, I'm gonna come back to show you guys how it looks like, and then we'll start working on the body as well. Okay, so I'll see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed working on the sleeve here. So as you can see, I have completed the length that I need for my arm so as to fit me. And so you will obviously would have done the same, but it would be a different length, or the same if you happen to be my size. But if you're not, it will be different, either smaller or shorter or longer. But this is pretty much what we have completed here. So this is the body of our sweater right here, and then we have the sleeve. Okay, and as you can see, I went ahead and completed here, cut it, and then did a slip stitch to kind of finish off my rows here. And just in case you're curious, I ended up doing 4 rows in the black, 4 rows in the red, 4 rows in the black, 4 rows in the red, and I did this alternation like this. Okay, so as you can see here, I have 3 blocks in the black, then I have 3 blocks in the red, and they're all of 4 rows each. Okay, all right, so now that we have finished this, I'm going to now show you how to increase the inside here. So let's say that this is the sleeve that is going to be for my it's laying down like this on my right side, but when we actually have it on, it's gonna be my left sleeve, this one here. So which means then I will need to increase this in the middle here, just a few rows, so that this doesn't meet with the other one, the second one, exactly like this. It's gonna meet it somewhere here. Okay, I hope that makes sense, but that's what we're gonna be doing. So in this case here, I will be increasing it on this section that is the inside, or that is on the ground, and not the one that is laying on top. And to do that, I will just pivot my work like this. I will bring this here. This is where we're gonna be starting, and you can do the number of rows, it's up to you. You can do 2 extra rows on this section, and then on the next one you can do 2 more to make it 4, or you can do 3 and 3 so that it's 6. It just depends on how much gap you want in the middle. Now when it comes to increasing here, so again, like I said, this is gonna be where I start my increase. I'm gonna show you how to do it. Now there's one thing that I'm gonna do that is a little bit different in this sweater than I did in the blue one, and it's gonna be how we join the 2 sections together. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I do my slip stitch here, just on this on the piece of yarn that I have to work with here, and I'm gonna keep the red. So if you want to do this section here in black, you absolutely can, but I'm going to choose to do it with the red still. So the back of your sweater is gonna have more rows than this section here. So I'm gonna bring my slip stitch right here into the center. So again, so just to so you guys see, this is the center. So this is the 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. I'm just going into that chain 1 gap here, and then bringing my slip stitch yarn through. Now that I have that, I'm going to chain 2, and this is gonna count as a double crochet. And in the same gap, I'm gonna do 2 more double crochets to make it 3. So okay, this is our cluster of 3 double crochets here like this. And then I'm gonna move on to this gap here, and I'm going to complete 3 more double crochets, just like so. Okay, and then I skip these 3 double crochets, and in the next gap I do 3 double crochets. And as you can guess, yep, we just continue to repeat this all the way to the end. And so I will have you guys repeat this until you come here. So this is where you're gonna do your 3 double crochets, and when you get to here, come back to the video. I will show you how to do a stitch here and then turning and starting the second row, because I'm gonna try to do 3 all together increase here, and in the next panel we're gonna do 3 as well to make it 6 of the increase altogether. But for now, just come when you get all the way back here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the first row for increasing the back of our sweater here. And as you can see, I just did my 3 double crochets here. And so I'm going to skip into this chain 3 gap here, or chain 1 gap, which is to separate this cluster in the corner. And I'm just going to skip into that chain 1 gap and complete a double crochet like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the second row. And to do the second row, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. I'm going to turn my work like this. And then in this gap here, I'm going to complete 2 more double crochets. So my chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So this is going to be here. And then I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next gap here and complete, oh, let's make sure we're centered here, and complete 3 double crochets. All right. And then in the next gap, I do go ahead and do 3 double crochets. Okay, and I continue this again just like we did the previous row. I go all the way using the same pattern here, just 3 double crochets in every gap here, all the way to here. So when you have completed your 3 double crochets here, come back so I can show you how to complete a final stitch here, and then we will do our last and final row for this increase before we go ahead and start the second panel of the sweater. Okay, but for now, just meet me after you've completed your 3 double crochets in this gap here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my second row for the increasing of the back here, and as you can see, I completed my last 3 double crochets right here. And so I'm going to go on top of the first chain 2 that we completed here to start the previous row, and I'm going to go on top of that chain 2 and complete a double crochet just like this. Okay, so that leaves this line nice and straight like this. All right, and then now we're going to do our final row. I'm going to do a chain of 2 and turn. Okay, voila. And then, and as you can see here, it's nothing different from what we did in the previous one. I go into this gap here and complete 2 more double crochets because the chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So like that. So I now have a cluster of 3, and then I skip over to the gap. So skip 3 double crochets, and in the gap do 3 double crochets just like this, and then skip over to the next gap here and complete 3 double crochets. And then, as you can guess, we continue to do this pattern all the way to the end of the row. Okay, so again, come back when you've completed your final 3 double crochets here, and then I will finish the row with you, and then we will go ahead and talk a little bit about how we're gonna do the second panel. Okay, see you guys when you get to the end here. Okay, my lovelies, so again, I have completed the 3rd row here, and I'm now just at the end to show you guys how to finish the last one. And I'm gonna yarn over and go on top of that chain 2 where we started the previous row with, and complete a double crochet. And so this is what it should look like here. Okay, so that is it for increasing this panel. So if I just remove my hook here for a second, so if you put your work down like this, it should have this increased gap in the middle here, and the second one is gonna connect to it right here, so we're gonna have that much more of the gap. And then this is how we're gonna join the 2. So this panel here and the next panel will join together here to have the 2 sides as one, which is pretty much kind of will be the almost the complete sweater. And then we're going to do a little bit of a couple of rows in the front here. Okay, just to also, as you can see here, is not the most good looking part, so we're gonna do a couple of rows around the front here to make it look nice. But don't worry about that yet, we will get to that eventually. But for now, I want you guys to go ahead and complete a second panel like this. So start over just like we started with this section here, and do your colors however you did the first colors, in case you're not using the same colors as I am or the same color change as I did. Just follow the tutorial the way you did the first one. And then when you have completed that, go ahead and do the 3 increases here as well. Now I'm going to explain a little bit about, I'm doing this a little bit different from the blue sweater that I have completed, that is now on the channel. I will put the picture somewhere here so you guys can see it, but I will also link that video in the description box below. And the reason I'm talking about that is I joined this with a darning needle. This particular one, I will use a darning needle to join the two sides, versus in that blue one, I actually do 2 rows of this increase in one, and on the other side, I do 3. And the side that has 2, I end up completing the 3rd row while joining the 2 sides. So it's still gonna add up to 6 increasing on each side, but except I actually complete the 3rd on one of the sides through joining it together using a hook. So you can check that one out, and if you would prefer that, then just go and follow that particular section to do your sweater. But if you want to follow the way I do with a darning needle, this is what I'm going to be doing on this one, okay? All right, so go ahead and complete your second panel. When you have that done, come back to the video and we will move on together. Oh, and just so you guys don't mix up the way you do the increase for the second part. So as you can see, when I place this down on the work table like this, it's going to be laying down like this. So the second one should be the exact opposite. So the second one, let's just say this was a second one without the increase. Your second one should be like this, and this increase should be on the bottom side, okay? So what you will do when you complete your second panel is you're gonna lay it down like this, and you're gonna start your increasing from down here. Okay, so you're gonna do the increases right here, because we did this one for the right side like this. The left side is gonna be the exact opposite of this, okay? So just so you guys don't mix up that section of it. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed doing the increase on the second as well. So the first thing I obviously did was I completed the whole sweater by repeating exactly what we did for the first panel. And then for the second, I did the same and increased the middle here by 3 rows, just like we did on this side here. So by placing them together here like this, you will see now that this is where we're gonna be joining the back, and then this is the front here, okay? Now, this is the last panel that I had completed. I have done my 3 rows of increases here. And so all I have to do now is go ahead and cut this yarn. I'm gonna leave the string long so that I can actually use it to sew the 2 panels together. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut somewhere here like that. Okay, and then what I will do is, so we're gonna join this on the inside. So we're actually gonna flip this like this so that we can join it from here to here. And to do that, one thing I'm going to do first here is I'm going to just pull the slip stitch here. So I'm doing it with my hand, by the way, just to slip stitch here, bring that through and then pull, and that locks the yarn there. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the 2 pieces that are inside and this side. I'm going to hold it like this, and I'm going to flip them like this. Okay, so this is where I'm going to join from here to here. But because I'm right-handed, I'm going to reflip it again so that the side that has the hanging string is going to be on my right-hand side, okay? So this is what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be joining this here, and this is going to be the back, the inside middle of our sweater. Now I'm going to grab my darning needle, and I'm going to take that yarn that I just left hanging, and I'm going to put that in my darning needle, okay, just like this. And then I'm gonna start joining my work here. Now, there's this first stitch right here that I'm gonna go into, this stitch right here, and I'm gonna line it up with the other side and go into the first stitch like that as well. I'm gonna pull, okay, like that. And in that same stitch, I'm gonna go one more time, and this time I'm gonna bring my yarn around like this. And this is just to reinforce the strength of it where I start joining it here. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to grab the 2 loops like this, and then the 2 loops on the other side. So like this. Okay, I'm gonna pull like that. And when you pull here, make sure you're not pulling too strong, because you want to leave it so that it's not gonna crunch up. So you're just gonna make sure you're not fully putting your power in it when you pull it, just a little bit like that. And then you go into the next stitch, grab all of the loops, go through, then go into the next, grab two, and you're lining everything up, and everything should be the exact same number of stitches from here to here. So that's what you're gonna do all the way down to here. And just to show you quickly how it looks like on the back, this is how the back is gonna look like when you're done joining the two sides. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and complete this to here, and when I have finished that, I will come back to the video, and then I will show you guys what to do next. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I am pretty much at the end of my joining here. So as you can see, I have just one more to go. I'm gonna go into this stitch here, which is pretty much the chain 2 on this side and the chain 2 on the other side, and I'm gonna go right on the first stitch of the chain 2, and I'm gonna pull that like this. Okay, and I'm gonna go into that one more time, just like we did on the other side, and I'm gonna bring this yarn through like this. Let's make sure I go like this. I'm gonna bring that yarn through like this and then pull, and this is done. Okay, so I'm gonna take these out, and as you can see, this is where we joined our work right here. Okay, like this. Just right here is the line where we joined. So now if I bring my work in like this, okay, and as you can see now, this is how my work looks like, and this is so far how it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, there's this gap that is quite big here, and so we're gonna work actually a couple of rows around like this. Okay, and as you can see too, the bottom here is not quite very clean. I'm gonna weave these in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in a corner like this and work our stitches all around like this, and come around like this, and go around the bottom all the way until we come back to where we started it here, and then repeat this a couple of times. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to start that, and then we will go ahead and complete a couple of rows like that. Now the choice that I have here as well is to either use the red color still to be able to complete that, or I can use the black color to complete my my stitches here. So for me, I will choose to use the black so that I can use the black to do the border here. And because we're not snatching it in, we're not going to use any different stitch except for just the same stitch that we're using here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my black yarn so I can show you guys how to get that started. Okay, my lovely, so I have my black yarn prepped here to be able to start. And what I will do is I will just pivot my work like this so I can start in this bottom corner here. Okay, and all I have to do is just make sure I have this corner. And you can start from any corner, but I like to start from this corner here. And I will just do a slip. I'm gonna do a slip stitch like this, slip knot like that, and then I'm gonna go into the middle, so the chain 1 spot from the way we did the cluster of 6 double crochets. I'm gonna bring that through, and then I'm gonna do a chain of 2, so my chain of 2 here counts as a double crochet, and I'm gonna go into that same gap and complete 2 more double crochets to make it 3 like that. Then I'm gonna move on to the next gap here and complete 3 more double crochets. Okay, 2 and 3. Then I'm gonna move on to the next and complete 3 more double crochets. Oops. Okay, like that. And then move on to the next gap. And again, so this is not very complicated here. You just continue to do these clusters of 3 double crochets in each gap all the way to here. So you're gonna do 3 here. You're gonna come back so I can show you how to do this next section here, this neckline here. I'm gonna show you how to work your clusters there, and then we're gonna cross over to the other side, do the same here, and we're gonna do our corner here, and then go around the bottom and come back all the way to where we just started here, where we will complete this corner. But for now, just work until the top here so I can show you how to work along the neckline. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my row here, so as you can see in this black color, all the way to the top where the neckline begins. So I'm going to show you how to work into that. So as you can see here, this is the cluster of the 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, which was one of the corners. We're going to just go into that corner here and complete 3 double crochets. So we're gonna go and do 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to move over to this gap here. This is the chain 2 gap that we did when we were joining the sides. We're gonna go into that and complete 3 double crochets, so 2 and 3, and then we're going to go into this gap here and complete 3 double crochets, so 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to skip over to this next gap here and complete 3 double crochets, so 1, 2, and 3. And then as we pivot around the neckline here, there's this section here that is where we join our work. Okay, now we're just gonna go ahead and skip over to the other side here to complete our 3 double crochets, just like this. Okay, so this is how this section is gonna look like. And then as we pivot around still, now your work is big, so it's a little bit bunched up and a little bit difficult to work with, but you can find your way. And then from here we skip and go right straight into this gap here and complete 3 double crochets, so 1, 2, and 3. And then we skip over to this section right here, this section, and do 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. And then we skip over to the gap here and do 3 double crochets. And so it's now easy again, because all we have to do is now just work in the gaps all the way down. But as you can see, your neckline should look something like this. I'm gonna just quickly flip it so I can show you. So your neckline should look something like this. This is how the black is coming around it, okay? So the black is coming around it like this, and then now it's gonna come back down, and we're gonna work ourselves all the way down. And in this corner, we do the corners like we've been doing them. So after your 3 double crochets right here, you're going to skip over to the chain 1 spot from the body of the sweater, do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the same gap, then skip over to here and complete your 3 double crochets, and just go all the way like this. And when you get to here, this is the bottom of the sweater, you're gonna do your 3 double crochets right here and then into this gap, and then you're gonna skip over all the way to this other side and complete 3 double crochets, and then into this gap here, 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, and then now it becomes easy again because it's easy what you see. And you're gonna work yourself all the way to here, and when you do your 3 double crochets in here, then you're gonna skip right into the center where the other 3 double crochets are, complete 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then slip stitch right here. Okay, and then chain 2, do 2 more double crochets into that same gap, and then skip over to doing your 3 double crochets here, 3 double crochets, and then you just now repeat the same thing. And because now they're just gaps to work into, you don't have to worry about where to put your double crochets. Okay, and you're gonna do that until you have the gap that you want here, or the size that you want here. What I will do is I will do 4 rows because we've alternated these rows like this. So I'm gonna do 4 rows here and then see how it looks. I will try it on, and if it looks like it's something that I'm happy with, I will stop there. And if I need to do more rows, I will go ahead and do that. But by the time I come back, I will be able to tell you exactly how many rows I did for mine. Okay, all right, so I'll let you guys complete working around the neckline here. And by the way, that means it's working on the bottom as well. So you're actually doing a complete round like this and coming all the way back here. And when you finish that, come back and we will look at the job, the work that we have done. Okay, see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed 4 rows here in the black. And as you can see, I just wanted to make sure I match the number of rows that I did with this change of colors here. just so it has an equal kind of finishing here, so that it is not too less here of the rows and too many for the other ones, or vice versa. Okay, so this is pretty much done. So as you can see, I ended my work right here. I haven't yet cut off the remaining yarn, but as you can see, I pretty much slip stitched it, and I'm gonna cut these off here. Okay, so this is my fourth row that I completed here. I went into the other side here to complete my slip stitch, and then I'm just gonna cut my yarn somewhere here. Okay, and then we're going to bring these in and do a chain one to lock it in like that. Okay, so we're gonna weave in all of these ends. It's quite a few ends here to be done. They're mostly where we change the color. So as you can see on the inside, there's all of these here to be kind of weaved in. But I'm just gonna show you quickly how the sweater pretty much is. It's done here. There's nothing beside weaving in your ends. It's pretty much done. So this is the sleeves that stays flared out like this, which is what you guys requested for me to do. So this is how these sleeves look like. Okay, this is the neckline right here. So the neckline is just nice basic. It comes around your neck nice and comfortable. And then this is the bottom part of it here. Okay, so again, ends to be weaved in here, but this is pretty much just kind of falls down like this in the bottom. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it. If you look at the back, if I flip this to the back, this is how the back side looks like. This is where we joined our work, the two sides here in the middle, and this is pretty much how your back is going to look like. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and weave in the ends because that's all I need to do. Everything else we just leave exactly as is. So I'm gonna go ahead and weave in all the ends here, but I will also end the video with you guys here. Yeah, so go ahead and weave in your ends, and then we're done. Thank you so much for watching the video to the end. And I hope you guys like this, because this is actually a request by multiple of you who wanted me to do this sweater, but in the flared out version like this. Not flared out, but like without bringing the calf in like this, and as well how to change colors. And this is the ones that I did. Okay, so go ahead and check out the other one, which is the one in blue. If you haven't yet checked that one out, it's just a solid color. And then we obviously snatching the calves here for the sleeves, as well as we do a border. Instead of a border that is just flat like this, we do a border that is nice and kind of reliefy. Okay, all right, well, thank you so much again, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.